Once upon a time, the 50mm f1.4 was one of my 3 go-to lenses in my full-frame shooting kit, so it's only fair that now we're taking a little peek into the Micro Four Thirds world for a bit of fun, you know, that I have a look at an equivalent and see how it fares. That brings us to this, the Panasonic Leica 25mm f1.4 Summilux. I think that's the whole name. Let's take a look at it. The lens weighs just 200 grams. As we said before, 35mm full frame camera, equivalent of 50mm f1.4, 46mm filter thread, 0.3 minimum focusing distance. Now, as you can see, it's rather simple all the way round. No switches, no OIS, no weather sealing, but you do have this rubberized manual focus there. Let's get that not for resale out the way. This belongs to Wex in Birmingham, as you've probably guessed. We've been looking at a few. Yeah, nice and simple. Let's crack on and see how this basically plastic, but yeah, well-built lens fares with some more straight out of camera stills, maybe a couple of video clips, and then afterwards we'll reconvene and have a chat about how we feel about it. This is a very capable portrait and even general photography lens. I found it for about $270 used on Wex. Brand new. You could argue that it's a bit more expensive than most lenses in its range, more or less. I'm talking across the different bodies, the full frame, crop sensor, etc. But it's a very capable little lens, and I think you'd easily get your money back, even if you felt it was a little bit pricey at first. It'd be a fine investment for a pro Micro Four Thirds shooter. So I guess that's it then. We should just stop talking about it now, right? As far as handling goes, out and about, the lens doesn't give me any real cause for complaint. And yes, it's basically plastic. The thing is fine. It doesn't have weather sealing, of course. That might be an issue for you. For me, it's not, especially if I was to use this on a wedding, for example. Most of my brides and grooms aren't going to be hanging out the rain. Occasionally they do. But, you know, that's not what this is for, at least for me. Also, there's no IS, but again, not to be expected necessarily with a lens of this focal length and nature. So again, coupled with my older GX80, which has in-body image stabilization, not a problem. Now, if I were to shoot manual focus, which with this lens I'm not really gonna be doing, but the focus ring, the rubber around it there, it's fine. It's very useful, not a problem at all. Now, while we're looking up close, let's remind ourselves again that filter thread is only 46mm, so that's very handy. Although in my case, I don't tend to put filters on a lens of this nature. Your mileage, your plans might vary, of course. Even wide open, this lens performs really well. The sharpness at f1.4, naturally, especially in the center, is cracking, absolutely spot on, can't fault it. And that is one of the most important things for me for a lens like this. As you may have heard on the internet, which is clearly the expert on all of these things, wide open, you might get a bit of fringing, some kind of magenta going on, easily corrected, especially if you're shooting raw, which you probably will be doing if you're using this for any serious pro work. Yeah, so it's a minor, as is anything else you might find, but there's no real huge issues, maybe a little vignetting wide open as you might expect, but there's nothing really to, I can't really mark it down on that, unfortunately. Even on my GX80, the autofocus is very fast, snappy. It's not entirely silent. Might be an issue for you, but it's not exactly going to disturb even in the quietest of events. Okay, somebody out there's probably got an event that's super quiet, but if that's the case, you need to test it first. But it's fine. Not a bother for me at all. And it's very accurate, again, even on my older Micro Four Thirds body. I imagine on one of the newer Olympuses, for example, or something like the G9, be absolutely mint. From what I've seen, this is the 50mm equivalent to get if all-out IQ is important to you, which as a pro, it probably will be. Now, if you're crazy enough to be stopping down a lot with a lens of this nature, then any small flaws will soon clear up as well, but that's not really for me. Importantly, as a portrait shooter, the bokeh is actually very, very pleasant. The out of focus elements look really pleasing. I'm not sure if it's magical, but sometimes you can get that nice little spark that you want, that nice little, the bokeh ballsy. It is pleasant. It's not the best in the world, but it's certainly a very decent shooter. Now, of course, brand new, it's not particularly cheap, as we said, but as we said, you'll get your money back real quick with this lens if you decide to use it in your pro work or just for a bit of fun. It will soon prove its value, I would say. Plus, what else are you going to get that's the equivalent, complete equivalent, I should say, that could even come out just over 200 used? Big thanks to Wex in Birmingham for supplying this loaner. It's real fun going through the Micro Four Thirds kit and this Panasonic stuff, and you know, the few Olympus bits that I've tried out have really opened my eyes to this system quite a bit. I mean, I'm not a snob at all about brands. Of course, I have my preferences, and we all have our preferences, but there's no fanboy tribalism here. There's just no need for it at all. We see it in every field of entertainment, field of of preference. Anything, even, you know, football teams, cameras, computers, everybody, even football players, everybody wants to take a side. It's frankly ridiculous. Once again, Panasonic have proved that the Micro Four Thirds system has a lot to shout about. But I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you down there.